challenges of the past are behind us. Our future is so bright.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it. My name is Anya Braun, and here on my channel we talk about Black businesses, artists, entertainment, and information. And today we're going to be coming back with one of your faves, anti-MLM content. Now, if you don't know, anti-MLM stands for multilevel marketing. Multilevel marketing is essentially a business structure that runs as a pyramid scheme most of the time, takes advantage of minorities, people with disabilities, people who are having a vulnerable time in their life, and essentially encourages them to join a business structure where they will have to pay money to be a promoter, essentially, to run a business. Spoilers, if you have a multi-level marketing company that you are a distributor for, you are not a business owner. But before we get into all of that, we are going to be talking about the company today, Herbalife. Now, you may know Herbalife. You probably do know Herbalife. It's one of the more popular ones. You might not even know that Herbalife is an MLM or what the deal is with it. You might think it's just another one of those, weight loss supplement companies, whatever, that are, dare I say, maybe unethical to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to do a full deep dive. This is going to be long. I would like to reiterate that everything that I'm stating in here is my opinion if it was not found on their own website, okay? Or this information just generally available to the public. I am not some sort of private investigator. This information is out there. You can find it yourself, and I really want people to be informed before they make the decision to give a scammy company their money. And unfortunately, oftentimes, and when I say often, I mean often, as in like 99% almost of people will lose money joining this business. And I want people to be protected by that, especially because the people who are being targeted. Everyone mentioned here is a public figure. Please do not send any hate to anyone because that's what ugly behavior. Read the disclaimer. And I hope that you enjoy this lovely long deep dive. Before we get right into it, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of my videos. You can see my lovely, lovely face again. It helps me out a lot, especially when you like the video. Then I know that that's what you want to see more of. And it's just really helpful when you leave a comment. Like all that stuff. Engagement. I don't know why I said it like that. Let's get right into it. The library is officially open. All right, so if you don't already know, Herbalife is, like I said, a multi-level marketing company. You can hear this go by multi-level marketing, direct selling, direct sales, network marketing. All of those are synonyms for the same thing. Herbalife sells dietary supplements and weight loss products primarily. Herbalife was founded by Mark R. Hughes in the 1980s when he was 24. Many years later, Mark was found dead in his Malibu mansion from a presumed overdose of alcohol in May of 2000. Before he died, he was apparently unhappy with the stock market valuation that was given to Herbalife, his company, and he tried to buy out his shareholders, which was, just guess the number, $510 million, okay? And shocker, that did not work, it failed. Since its conception, Herbalife has had several lawsuits, problems, some cases allegedly, maybe not, I don't know, who knows. I'm now going to read this excerpt to you from the LA Times regarding Mark and his first recorded interaction with government officials in a lawsuit format. In the mid-1980s, Hughes, who was 24 when he started his company, was sued by the Food and Drug Administration, the California Attorney General's Office, and the State Department of Health over what they said were false health claims about Herbalife products and the various schemes used to market them. Now, don't you think that's where we should have stopped? Let me keep reading. Hughes, in 1985, defended his controversial diet powders and pills during a hearing before a panel of U.S. senators. Attacking 3 nutrition and weight control authorities who questioned the safety of his products, Hughes asked senators, quote, "If they're such experts, then why are they fat? I've lost 16 pounds in the last few years." End quote. Bitch, we are starting off hot, okay? We are going running right now. First of all, there's nothing more MLM that I've ever heard in my entire life than someone with a middle school education gaslighting a room full of doctors and a judge. Yes, you heard that right. Middle school education. He stopped going to school in like 8th grade, which no shame there. You know, shit happens, do what it is. But maybe if that's not your field of expertise, maybe if you didn't not only go to like med school or like college or like high school, science class, maybe you shouldn't, you know, try and tell a room full of doctors that if they know so much, then why are they fat? Why are you fat? This is going to be such a good video. I'm screaming. Oh, excuse me. It was the 9th grade. My apologies. He finished middle school. Slay. So there's that. Or I mean, there's also the almost $1 million settlement in essentially hush money that he gave them to let him continue to run his business. Let's talk about that. So remember how I said that this literally only started in the 1980s? Already by 1986, he is paying out a $850,000 settlement for this first infraction with, you know, like we said, all of those government officials. According to the New York Times, as stated previously, Hughes died of an alcohol overdose. Quote, Mr. Hughes, 44, who promoted natural healing methods using Herbalife's healthcare and weight loss products, was being treated by a psychiatrist for his drinking problem and smoked 6 to 8 cigars a day, according to the coroner's report. The coroner, like, you know, which just on morality levels speaks to the levels of fat phobia here and how you don't actually give a shit about people's health if you're the most unhealthy person. You don't care about people's health. One, you care about making money, and two, you know that weight loss products will sell because people feel bad about themselves, and you're encouraging this cycle of fat phobia. Thin does not equal healthy, okay? As he's telling a room full of doctors, oh, if you know so much, why are you fat? Maybe because they're healthy. Don't you think if they had health problems, they'd be the first to know? They're doctors. Let me get it together. And this thin man MLM CEO of this scammy, scrungy, nasty ass business who's smoking 6 cigars a day and tragically overdosing on alcohol, who has a problem with alcohol, dare I say is maybe not the healthiest? That's just my opinion. This is just a prime example of the general fat phobia being excused as for people's health. It's like, no, you just don't. You don't want to be fat. You don't like fatness. You don't really give a shit about health. Moving on. The current CEO of Herbalife is John I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Agwunobi, I believe. Agwunobi. Agwunobi. I think so. You can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. That's not really the point of this. His name is John. He's the CEO of Herbalife present day. Now, according to our good Judy Wikipedia, John is a Scottish-born Nigerian American who has been a public health official. What? How? Pediatrician. And now CEO of the MLM Herbalife. Big yikes. He worked for Walmart in 2007 and was their like top go-to medical professional, with more than 65,000 employees under him. He was also a 4-star admiral of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps, to which he was promoted then as the CEO of Herbalife in March 2020. Now, do we remember anything about March 2020? March 2020, Oh, right, the pandemic, okay. I would also like to say, how are you going to be like this really reputable, so-called, highly educated public health official and then also sell these products or be the CEO, like the leading face of the company who sells these products, who literally since their inception has had infractions with the government for making false health claims? Moving on. John attended Johns Hopkins University, Georgetown University, Howard University, and the United States JOS main campus. That's what I'm saying is like, how are you such a highly educated individual and perpetuating such a dangerous business structure? Like, it just goes to show to me that you know exactly what you're doing and you're okay with the way that you are making this money off the backs of people who are looking for help, especially in a pandemic. Don't get me started. I can only assume that he knows exactly what he's doing, he knows exactly who he's hurting, and he just doesn't give a shit because he's making money. Roll the clip.
It's driven by demand, obviously. A lot of people around the world are waking up to the notion that health is wealth, and they're spending the time to live healthy, balanced lives, and they're looking for companies like ours that can supply them with healthy nutrition.
What is happening on the seller front? Are you finding that you're getting more sellers for the product because a lot of people are displaced from work or at home and they're looking for those kind of opportunities from a career perspective?
Yeah, so in addition to our customer demand, we're finding that a number of individuals, they're sitting at home, they're working on their computers, and they're realizing that there may be another way to add an additional income stream. So we are finding that many people are coming into the business with a view to helping develop their own income streams. Yeah.
John, it's Brian. Listen, those I talked to today ahead of this interview said that, yeah, you are a health company, but increasingly because of your new computer platforms, you are a data company as well. Without getting, I guess, too into people's personal privacy, how does harvesting all of this data about millions of consumer habits change your business strategy and perhaps its profitability?
Yeah, Brian, it's a good point. So what we are finding is that across the industry, and especially in our company, there is an acceleration in the push to a new digital state. All of our distributors and our customers, our company, we're really beginning now to leverage technology in what has been a very traditionally, very manual business. We're high touch, high tech. And so we are finding that we're gathering data now. We're understanding customer habits, consumer behaviors, people bought this, who bought that. Those kinds of things are now available to us. As we look to the future, a big part of our growth is likely going to come from our digitalization, the application of technology across our platforms around the world, 94 different countries.
What about the core, multi-level marketing, John? Is that still a controversial term on Wall Street and with the regulators, or have you gotten past that?
Yeah, no, so we are, our challenges of the past are behind us. Our future is so bright, and we're really focused on the business opportunity. There are many people out there who are looking for additional income streams. There are many people out there that are looking to start their own little businesses, and our job is to support them in that.
In that video, they also talk about how the company is also doing some sort of data collection in 94 countries. My question is why? Why does an already scammy business need to have more of our personal information? Don't know. I would not like to look into that further. I would like to keep my sanity today. Unfortunately, the pandemic increased Herbalife revenue by 113%. Why is this? Let's dive into that. Short story is people are afraid, and people's fears are being taken advantage of. Very simply. They're being manipulated by these promoters in a time of desperation, worldwide desperation, to believe that joining this company will solve their health and financial problems, which are two of the biggest things in a pandemic. I'm gonna lose it. I'm going to happy hour after this. Can you tell by my cute little shirt and my little top knot? Okay, focus. In this video, John has said quotes such as, "A lot of people around the world are waking up to the notion that health is wealth, and I can't even get through it, and they're spending time to live healthy, balanced lives." Is that enough? Is that enough words? Because, how about you literally, this makes me so incredibly angry because there's no worse time to take advantage of mass amounts of people who have lost their jobs, lost their lives, lost their loved ones, and are sickly with no healthcare in a country with no healthcare. And would we like to just take a moment to talk about who the most affected group of people by the hit was? Black people. Okay, perfect. So this is who you are preying on. Black people who are not only already the most marginalized in the country, then on top of that are suffering the most because of high rates of poverty, lack of education, lack of healthcare, suffering heavily from a deadly virus. And you want to come to them and tell them that you have the solution to all of their problems, knowing damn well that you are only there to take their money and leave them worse off. It makes me extremely angry, if you can't already tell, because not only do I not want to see anyone get taken advantage of, I especially don't want to see people who are put in positions systemically to need extra help be taken advantage of for needing extra help and get further pushed back because they tried, because they believed that they could do something to help their problems in a time when everyone is so desperate to just be alive and be healthy. And you have the nerve, after the 1986 first infraction with making false health claims, you have the nerve to now bring that back, keep that. There were so many false health claims made by these distributors during the time of the pandemic saying that, oh, this can boost your immunity. Oh, don't you want your immunity boosted? You don't want to get sick? All of this stuff. Herbalife is not a solution to... I don't know if anyone needs to hear this. No, I'm not a doctor, but any doctor can tell you that. Any doctor can tell you that. Just literally look it up for 1 second. Talk to your doctor before you decide to start taking any of these products, because there's a good chance that they could harm you, or they could harm your pockets, or both. And I just want everyone to be safe, period. Now, in 2016, Herbalife was in a $200 million settlement with the FTC, being sued by the FTC for being a, wait for it, what do you think I'm gonna say? What do you think it is? A pyramid scheme. Yeah, wow. Wow. You didn't see that coming, did you? That was like, oh, that was crazy. That was crazy.
Our challenges of the past are behind us. Our challenges of the past are behind us.
I bet you would say that, considering the fear-mongering, false health claims, and manipulation from Herbalife promoters during a pandemic made you a whopping $7.2 million this year, according to execpay.org. That is a 225% increase from 2019. Ew. This man literally made millions by a business structure that relies on recruiting people into a false promise that they will make money, knowing that they are likely 99, 98-ish%, almost 100% going to lose money. I think now would be a perfect time to look at the 2020 income disclosure statement. We can compare the income of the average promoter to the income of the $7.2 million made by John in 2020. Let's see. I will flash the income disclosure statement right here, and then we'll read a little bit about it. According to the income disclosure statement, there are no required purchases other than the initial distributorship kit, also known as the International Business Pack, which is $94.10, or International Business Pack Super Starter, $124.10. So based on this, the minimum, which there could possibly be a monthly minimum, we would have to look at the compensation plan and everything, we'll get there. There could possibly be a monthly minimum requirement to sell, so in order to get your compensation, right? So there's generally, in a lot of MLMs, there's a amount that you have to hit to even be able to be compensated each month. So that's where the sort of monthly fees come in. But according to this, you only have to start your business. It's not a business with, let's say, the $94.10. Let's say that's the least that you can spend just to get started, okay? Under the section of how I can earn money, it says you can also earn money from the sales of people you sponsor, meaning the people in your downline. And it does say here, which I appreciate, you cannot earn money by only recruiting or only sponsoring other distributors. They essentially saying they have to sell. Here's where the blurry lines come from, because you have to sell doesn't necessarily mean you have to sell retail sales. So therefore, if you aren't only sponsoring people, but the people you're sponsoring are buying products, and so are the people they're sponsoring, and so are the people they're sponsoring, those are technically all counted as sales because people are buying products, even though what we see majority of the time in MLMs is the people who are buying the products are the people who are distributors in the company, the majority of them. Now, that's not to say that there aren't retail sales happening. However, the majority of the money, the majority of your income will come from you recruiting people who purchase monthly, and those people recruiting people who purchase monthly, and every single person above in the pyramid getting commission off of that. Hence why we see a lot of the products in MLMs in general, and in this one, that are marked up exponentially without credible value, just because they have to account for the amount of money that each person in the pyramid will take off in order to pay out those people. So this is very interesting. It says in 2020, about 191,000 US distributors ordered products for resale from Herbalife Nutrition, and about 180,000 of them earned money from their sales and the sales of those they sponsored. So it sounds like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good amount of people, right? It goes on to say, in a typical month, about 90,000 earned money, including those making supplemental income. Here's what they earned in a typical month before expenses, which is something very important to know in any sort of income disclosure, is that, especially with this one, it does not include any of the expenses necessary to become a business owner, to become a distributor. So like I said, that will not count the $94 it took for you to start start becoming a distributor. That doesn't count any of the products that they are encouraging you to buy so that you can be a product of the product. How can you sell something if you don't have it? So you need to make sure you're buying every month. Do you see how the encouragement to get people who are already distributors to purchase products and purchase more products, because the person above them, the person who recruited them, will then get a commission from it, works? Right. So if in a typical month, 90,000 people out of the 191,000 people made money, that is what? Less than half, about 47%? And this means 47% approximately of people who are in the company made money in a typical month without counting any expenses. That means that we're looking at about 53% majority of the company who's not making any money on a typical month, according to the Herbalife 2020 income disclosure statement. More than half of the people in this company for the year are not making money on a typical month, which is, I don't know, maybe not what they were promised in this lucrative business opportunity. And that also doesn't count, like when they're saying who made money, that does not mean they made $1,000, $2,000, etc. Doesn't mean they made their rent. That could mean $5. Made money could mean $5, but then when you consider, this is why we encourage every single person who is in an MLM to do a profit and loss statement, because when you look and you say, oh my gosh, I got $200 this month, but you actually spent $300, you didn't make anything, which is how a lot of people get stuck, and a lot of people who are involved in MLMs end up being in debt because of it. It says here that of the first year distributors, about 30,000 of them, about 15,000 earned more than $201 in a month. The top 10%, about 3,000 people, earned more than $1,246 in a month. And the top 1%, about 300 people, earned more than $5,913 in a month. Now, for all of the other distributors, about 60,000, 50%, about 30,000, earned more than $264 in a month. The top 10%, about 6,000, earned more than $3,305 in a month. The top 1%, about 600 people, earned more than $16,213 in a month. This does say underneath, the top 1% of distributors are typically president's team members. The time it took them to reach president's team, typically between 5 and 11 years, requires skills, consistent work, and dedication. That is so convenient that even in the income disclosure statement itself, it's basically telling you that you will not make the 1%. Remember when I said that almost 100% of people who are in MLMs, it's either 98, 99, around there, percent of people involved in MLMs will lose money or make no money? That is why. So this is very convenient for them to not include the numbers for the people who did not make any money, the majority of the people involved in the company. Because you see, if we have the first year distributors are 30,000 people and all of the other distributors about 60,000 people, they say all of the other distributors, that means all the other distributors who made money. Add those up, that is where you get the 90,000 digit from. However, when you look at these numbers, it's like, okay, maybe I could make $200 a month. Keep in mind that does not include any of your expenses, that does not include any of your business startup cost, none of that. Also keep in mind that this data is only for the people who made money, not the people who signed up to be distributors. The people who lost money, as the majority of the company did, are not even counted in this because they don't want you to see that. They don't want you to be able to sit down and actually do the math and say, hey, wait a minute, okay, it might be true that 30,000 people in their first year earned more than $200 a month, but can you even be one of those 30,000 people if 100,000 of them lost money or made no money? It doesn't add up. And they do things like this, trying to manipulate the numbers to make it seem like it's more grandiose and like a bit better business opportunity than it really is, which just in itself should show you that it's not trustworthy and not good. The bottom line is, if there are 191,000 distributors and only 90,000 of them even made a couple dollars, not including expenses, so could even have lost more in that, but just got some sort of payment, that is still 100,000 people who lost money or made no money, who signed up as distributors, who had the dream sold to them during a pandemic. 100,000 people in the hole because of the manipulation of scammy companies like this one. Now, their compensation plan, if I can find it, I'll throw it on the screen here for you. You will find that compensation plans are purposefully very complicated, hard to read, and hard to understand, essentially so that you don't, it's essentially so that you don't get it, so you don't question it. I'm not going to go over it in detail here, but I will just put it on the screen if I can find it, because to me the income disclosure statement is more important, and this video is already going to be very long. If you'd like to look at it on your own, feel free. But essentially, in comparison, the compensation plan is what could happen, and the income disclosure statement is what has actually happened. So that's why it's very important to look at the income disclosure statement for the previous year, as they are legally required to put out each year, so that distributors coming in can be aware of the realistic expectations of you're likely to be in the majority of the company who lost money or made no money. Thanks. More lawsuits. So not including any of the settlements with the founder or the FTC suing them for millions for being a pyramid scheme, those little teeny problems. As recently as 2020, Herbalife was sued by the US Department of Justice for bribing Chinese officials to increase their business there, and settled for $123 million. Again. Are we noticing a pattern here? They were essentially just cooking the books over there to grow the business in China, which I've got a question. If you're such a good business opportunity, why do you need to bribe the Chinese officials? Why do you need to have a new settlement every year about making false health claims? Or not every year precisely, but many, many, many times since this company's conception. Being a pyramid scheme, making false health claims, the product's not working, bribing Chinese officials, government infraction after government infraction for being the actual worst. According to Forbes, quote, Herbalife agreed to pay $123 million in civil and criminal penalties and entered into a 3.5-year deferred prosecution agreement with the Department of Justice, which means that if the company meets the conditions of the agreement in that amount of time, the charges will be dropped. Essentially, they can pay their way out of anything because they are a freaking billion-dollar company, okay? Which is another huge issue. As we already know, there are tons and tons of scammy-ass companies. I know a lot of MLM people seem to be very personally hurt by these types of videos. If you want to get scammed, be my guest. It's my job to make sure that people all know what they're getting into so that they can maybe prevent themselves from getting scammed. If you are signed into that and you're like, I want to give my money away with nothing in return, go ahead, girl, nobody is stopping you. Have fun. There are tons of other scammy ass billionaires, billion-dollar companies. All kinds of shit is corrupt, okay? All kinds of shit is corrupt. This is just what we're focusing on right now. So essentially, if they can stop lying, cheating, and being a scammy business for the next 3 years, then they'll be good, question mark? However, based on everything we have just went over, I find that hard to achieve. We know that in 2016, Herbalife was sued by the FTC and agreed to pay $200 million. You heard that right, $200 million. To, quote, settle charges it deceived consumers into believing they could make significant money selling its products. From Forbes, once again. All of these will be linked down below if I didn't say that already. According to Forbes, Herbalife will have paid $343 million in fines to the federal government since the 2016 settlement for $200 million. That is a of money that we're just paying in settlements to essentially just keep people quiet so we can keep doing things that are actively harming people. $343 million fines in 4 years. 4 years. Remember when CEO John said, our challenges of the past are behind us?
Our challenges of the past are behind us.
How far behind us? They're like right there. Oh no, they're still present. That's right. Yep. Like, this is mind-blowing. As if it isn't already clear enough that you should, in my opinion, stay very, very far away from this company, let's talk about the alleged harm that the products themselves have caused. I would also like to point out that when you go to their page, the homepage says start your business before the Our Product section, which in my opinion tells you a lot more about the focus of the company. Why would the start your business section come before the here's what we sell section? Oh, right, because of the dependency on recruitment. Okay. All right, so here's some of their products and the prices. We got protein bites. You get 28 bites, 0.53 ounces for $31.45. The most popular are the shakes. They're like protein shake kind of things. There's different flavors. All of them are 27.5 ounces and they are $46.25. Now, just for comparison, remember what I said earlier about the price inflation for them having to account for the commissions for each person in the pyramid? A regular old shake of the same sort from the vitamin shop, let's say, is a 2.2 pound container, which is 35.2 ounces for $44.99. Meaning, if you got a non-MLM of the same product, non-multi-level marketing company affiliated product, but you want the same protein shake vibes, because like I said, the products are not revolutionary, not that special. You can feel free to check out the ingredients list and compare it to whatever it is protein shakes that you're using currently. It's not that far off. But anyway, this means that you can get 7.7 more ounces for almost $2 less for a non-MLM protein powder that doesn't allegedly cause liver damage. That sounds like a good deal to me. So there was a case study in 2019 by the Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hepatology, that's like gut stuff, investigating claims that Herbalife products caused fatal acute liver failure to a person in India. This article has since been removed for legal reasons. That's convenient. It is my personal opinion that illegal reasons could include, I don't know, maybe another couple hundred million in hush money that they've already paid out. Why not add it to the list? But that's not a fact. That's just my normie opinion, just making guesses based on the patterns of they get into a scandal, and by scandal, I mean illegal activity, and then they pay a bunch of money, and then it's all okay until the next one. So I don't know if that's the case, but I would kind of guess that. I would like to ask, you know? This website, liftbigeatbig.com, posted a 2021 article compiling the side effects and horror stories regarding Herbalife use. And this specific website just looks kind of like a blog or anything. It's not like an official scientific or governmental anything like that website. So just to be safe, I will say that all of this is alleged. Like I said, it will be linked down below if you want to check it out. That has links to a bunch of different sites, one of which including the case study mentioned previously that has since been taken down for legal reasons. Here are some of the standout quotes from that blog post, including professional sources in there. Like I said, it'll be linked down below and then you can go through their own links on their website. Quote, in the last 30 years, there have been 50 cases of liver damage associated with Herbalife products, end quote, allegedly. Quote, Herbalife products have been shown to cause side effects like liver injury, jaundice, nausea, pale stool, tiredness, fatigue, and abdominal pain. In some cases, Herbalife ingestion has led to, allegedly, that is just a claim based on this. When they made that statement, they linked to the same article that I told you about before that has since been taken down for legal reasons. Now, were those legal reasons that it was false? It could be, and I don't want to spread false information, but were those legal reasons that they didn't want that information out to the public? It also could be. Take that with a grain of salt. According to a ScienceDirect.com article from the Journal of Hepatology titled Association Between Consumption of Herbalife Nutritional Supplements and Acute Hepatotoxicity, I don't know how to say it. Hepatotoxicity, people's insides getting up. Quote, 10 patients in Israel have suffered unexplained liver injury associated with Herbalife products. 3 people have developed severe hepatitis. 3 people suffered acute liver failure. And, quote, 2 of the patients who suffered from symptoms of acute liver failure consulted with their Herbalife reps only to be advised to continue or increase the dose of their supplement. because I would like to point out that there are absolutely no requirements, certifications, or education related to becoming an Herbalife distributor, much like any other MLM. Any normal person off the street can come in and essentially be your health and wellness coach kind of thing and give you medical advice against the wish of any real medical professional. And of course, because we see a lot of cult-like tactics in MLMs, it is very unlikely that anyone in the company will say, especially top promoters or anything like that, will say negative things about the company. Even if they are constructive, even if they're necessary, they will not say negative things about the company because they don't want the company to look bad. There's a lot of mental, what do you call it? Like personal development that goes into the cult-like tactics and how they keep people involved in these MLMs and just these scammy companies in general, being that any negative talk is considered like completely bad. You can't say anything negative about the company. There's no criticism that you can have. The company is supposed to just be like great, amazing. And if you do say that, then you're not being positive and you're being toxic. And there's a lot of toxic positivity in that space. So it does not come as a shock to me to know that people consulted their Herbalife representatives, their Herbalife distributors, saying, I'm having these health issues, what do I do? And instead of saying, hey, if the only thing you've added new to your diet is Herbalife, then maybe it's not agreeing with you, maybe you should just stop, because that would mean what? If they're not purchasing their monthly products, then that person is not getting their commission. So of course they're not going to say that. They're going to encourage you to keep using more. This person literally says encourage you to keep using more of the products that are making you sick just so that they can get your commission dollars. Wow. I love when the health company allegedly has a negative impact on people's health. That would be crazy, right? That would be crazy. So fun fact, my cousin actually was taking Herbalife after her, was it her first pregnancy? Or one of her pregnancies. She's had a couple kids, but it was like back in the day. This had to have been like maybe 10 years ago. And I remember her being on it. I don't know why I remember like that specifically, like that's so random. But she did lose a lot of weight from it, which is also not a shocker because like that's like, yeah, if you're in a calorie deficit, then you're gonna lose weight. That's, you know, if you're making choices to make a healthier, more active lifestyle, or eat less or have a calorie deficit, that's the only way that you can lose weight, then yeah, that's definitely going to make that happen. It's not necessarily these magic weight loss shakes. It's more so just your new commitment to having a healthier life and or just being in a calorie deficit and losing weight. But she is a prime example of their target audience. Young Black woman, new mom, no specific education in or like family health knowledge of taking care of your body, what to eat, like what's good, you know, stuff like that. Looking to lose weight and has an internet connection. That right there is the perfect storm for an Herbalife distributor. MLMs are known to target vulnerable people, people who are struggling, needing money, feeling stuck, needing a community, or even those with illnesses or disabilities that are just unable to work traditional jobs. This includes military spouses, stay-at-home moms, you get the point. Which, when you think about it, if you are a human being, you have likely been one of those things at some point, which is fine. When anti-MLM creators say vulnerable people or people in vulnerable positions, it's not victimizing them. They are victims because they were taken advantage of by a predatory company who promised them a good business opportunity that actually caused them to lose money. There is nothing bad or inferior about being vulnerable. It is the human experience. What is bad are the trash-ass companies that prey on people's vulnerabilities, especially when you couple that with the often systemic disadvantages that come with it. If you take a scroll through the Herbalife most recent tag on Instagram, you will see a sea of people of color. Black women, brown women, people of color make up the majority of the first couple pages of posts. You can try and look it up on TikTok too, but most of that is, about how it's a scam. So slay TikTok, slay. I'm sure that the worst Herbalife content can be found on Facebook, but I do not go on Facebook and I will not be ruining my day today. If you would like to see great examples of these reps acting a damn fool, not only can you just search on Instagram or like on Facebook, like I said, but there will also be videos linked down below of plenty of great examples of how the company represents itself and what kind of people are allowed to and encouraged to recruit more people into a predatory business structure that, in my opinion, everyone knows, or not everyone knows, but the people at the top are well aware that the majority of people will lose money, and yet they still continue to do it. I personally don't like to like post or react to people's specific posts. One, because I don't literally have the technology to put something else on the screen. Don't know how to do that. And two, because it's like embarrassing enough already, you know, like it's like if this was me, I wouldn't necessarily want this like to be everywhere. You know, I try and just not do that, because I mean, yes, you're making a fool of yourself. Yes, you're making it public, and yes, most of the times you may be a public figure, but still, like, I just don't want. There's plenty of other channels that do great at that. Unless they're like a super public figure, you know what I mean? Like we're like millions of followers, or like, you know, stuff like that. Like it actually says public figure, or like a CEO like John, you know, who's like easily found publicly, either in corporate or top leaders, like top leaders, because at that point they've got so many people underneath them that they're literally making money off of that. In my opinion, they've crossed the line from like normie, desperate, brainwashed victim to full-blown, self-aware, inconsiderate scammer. I looked through who Herbalife is following, because it's a thing you can do. So I'm sure, like, I would assume they'd be following, you know, the top leaders. That's pretty normal. It's like a special thing when the MLM, like, whatever, is following you because you're like the top leader, and it's like a love bombing situation. It's like, oh my God, like you're so important, even though it like really means nothing. And a lot of the people that they're following are in other countries, and they either speak or write their, you know, captions and stuff in another language. So I am not able to translate that. I only speak English and bad bitch and probably like an elementary school level of Spanish. So anyway, I noticed a pattern in following couples pages. This is very interesting, which I'm not exactly sure what that means, other than just double the stake in the business per household. It's like if you saw the Lula Rich documentary when What's-Her-Face is talking about, oh, well, if you get your husband to join, and then you'll both be able to be in the company, and then you'll both have so much stake in the company, and then you put all your eggs in one basket, and then you'll never want to leave, and you'll keep giving us your money. She didn't say that last part, but it's definitely a tactic among MLM companies to get couples involved, because it creates a dependency on the company, and that's like a perfect solution for them. You know, the more people who are in the company, the better, and the more people who will not leave the company because they're so dependent on it, the better. Even though a lot of those people will be losing money. This one couple on the, you know, who they're following, posted, I guess from like a convention or something, a $1 million lifetime achievement, I guess combined, question mark, because they were both there. I'm not sure how that's working, but I would like to point out that I could see how someone without background knowledge of this company would be like, oh wow, that's a great accomplishment. Like, they're making so much money. This must be a legitimate business opportunity. Well, one, lifetime achievement means a total of their revenue, and likely that just means of their team revenue from the day they signed up until now. I personally would like to know how long each of them has been in the company for. Two, revenue does not equal profit. So that does not mean that they've made $1 million in their bank account since the time they started either. Like I said, revenue is their sales, likely plus the sales of their team. And to reach that, they must have a huge team of hundreds of people, or even thousands, who knows? But it makes a lot of sense considering, like we said earlier, about how much of the sales come from distributors. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have a lot of distributors who are buying a lot of products, you're more likely to have to reach this $1 million lifetime achievement award. Like I said, even though it's not $1 million in profit, and it's not, I think, I could be wrong, not just your $1 million. It's your business is what your team does. That's how you get paid. You need them. Also to be noted, for that $1 million lifetime achievement award, that does not include any taxes or expenses, which we know, as previously, are hefty. That doesn't include anything that it costs to start their business, to have their business, anything that it costs to get their products, nothing like that, and nothing taxed. So when you become a distributor for an MLM, you are a 1099 contracted employee. You are not a business owner, okay? You are an independent contractor. So you do not directly necessarily work for them. You are just kind of hired in, like an independent contractor, to be their distributor, which means you file your own taxes, which means you got to pay taxes on all that shit. Another reason why you got to do that profit and loss statement, which you consider like all of the work that they do. I will never argue that it takes a lot of work to have, like, to be an 1099 distributor for an MLM company. Like, there's a lot that they expect of you, and that's part of why it makes us so upset, is that you're doing so much work for such a little return, and oftentimes to lose money. Like, you don't have to pay people to work, you know? You would be much better off. You've got much better chances starting your own YouTube channel or actually doing your own social media business and making money through that, having that be your career that does not involve perpetuating a predatory system. I mean, you figure between the team trainings every day, the Zoom calls, the posting on social media 17 million times a day, reiterating stuff, being in the group chats, there's huge, huge group chats. All of these things are taking up so much time, even though what they offer you is time freedom. You don't get what you were promised. It's not worth it. You have a better chance of making money pursuing your actual dreams instead of trying to solve basically systemic poverty with false promises from a pyramid scheme. On to the secret weight loss cafes. As you may know, the MLM distributors, like we just talked about, are 1099 contracted employees, not business owners. However, one of the newest business ventures available with Herbalife is opening your cafe, an Herbalife cafe, where they sell essentially the same shakes. They just like shake them up for you, I guess. And then they like give it to you and they're like, slay, join my team. I want to say, it's kind of like a franchise, like it's not, but it's like kind of, you know what I mean? Like when you would think, oh, it's like an Herbalife cafe, right? Except for, it's tricky. Because these are like their own stores, just like they're like the 1099 contracted employees, but they only sell Herbalife products. Yeah, like only Herbalife products. You know, like the same shakes that you can just like make at home for like the small price of your morality and $46. Yeah, those ones. What's interesting about them, and I'll link some other videos down below about these as well, is that because they are fairly new, and I don't even think that it's like allowed, once again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's something where they're not allowed to necessarily say, especially from the outside, like this is an Herbalife cafe, which you would think like they're not allowed to be called like Herbalife Cafe 3. No, you have to call them like Guava Baba, you know, Shaken Mama or something. You can't have like Herbalife signage, which is a red flag, a blaring red flag, because why do you not want people to know that? Why do you not want them to know the products that they are buying? You shouldn't have to trick people. If your name has such a bad reputation that you can't even see it from the outside, but that's the products you're selling and you're just not telling anyone, that shit is weird, bro. Like, just to reiterate, the owners of these shops, when you see them, are only selling Herbalife products and are not allowed to say on the outside before you walk in, this is only selling Herbalife products. Girl, what? Like, is this a dream? Is this a dream, like literally? And it's like, why wouldn't you want people to be able to tell that your lovely establishment is affiliated with Herbalife? Yeah, I can't think of any reasons, especially not in the last 60 minutes, as to why that would be. That's crazy. Oh, well. Good God, that was a long one. There was a lot of information in there from the jump. There was a lot going on. Oh my God, there's fuzzies everywhere. That was a lot. Okay, that was a lot. If you'd like me to talk more about this, I definitely can. If you'd like more deep dives about other scammy, gross businesses to stay away from and don't get taken advantage of, I certainly can do that as well. Whatever you'd like, it's Black Commentary. Black Commentary with Anya. Should I make a song? Oh my God, okay, we're getting off track. Anyway, that is all that I have for you. Make sure that you are subscribed right now. If you made it all the way here, then you're literally so freaking bomb. You look so cute, slay. And yeah, like this video, definitely subscribe, and make sure that you're subscribed. Double check, triple check, subscribe right now. Leave a comment down below. What do you think was the most shocking part of this? Like, what do you think was the most standout? Was it the hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements in the last 4 years? Was it the alleged damage to people's bodies? Was it the CEO? Was it the founder? Was it the distributors? Was it the cafes? Was it the income disclosure statement? Was it the lack of money? Was it the losing money? Was it the taking advantage of people, minorities, and people with disabilities? I don't know. It's really hard to choose, but that's it. That's all that I have for you today. Have a great day. Have a great life. Do what it is that you do, and follow me for more. Bye.